So the next section here we're going to cover is number 9, courtesy. Number 8 is for motorcycles, so that doesn't apply to us here. So this it's rare I'd see a mark for this one, but courtesy would be like if we were in slow moving traffic and instead of letting someone out of a property, you just kind of drive in front of them and stop. Sometimes it is okay to let somebody in front of you, but just remember from the last section, we don't beckon anybody out. You know the way, just stop, let them figure it out for themselves. It will be the same if you're driving along in slow moving traffic and a car coming towards you wants to turn right in front of you. Again, it's okay to stop and let them do it, but just don't beckon them across the road. Now, next section, number 10, alighting. So just remember, just before you get out of the vehicle at the end of your test, make sure that the handbrake is up, the ignition is off, and take any necessary observation before opening your door. As in, just quick look in your mirror, make sure there's not a cyclist or a car coming up the outside. That's all that means. Now, next section is progress. I do see so many people lose marks for this. If you are driving too slow around the track, the tester will think you either are not confident enough for a full license or you don't know the speed limit. The tester doesn't have all day to spend with you driving around, so it's important to get it done when it's safe to do so. So again, fourth section, moving off again. So watch the video, Gosho, and when it's safe to do so, you have to get moving. You don't want to be taking too long doing all this. Progress on the straight, so get up to the speed limit when it's safe to do so. If you're going 27 in a 30, it's not fast enough. If it's 30 and it's safe to do so, get up to 30. The same with a 50. If it's safe to do so, up to 50. Same with 60 or whatever the speed limit may be. Just getting the car moving when we're supposed to. Overtaking. So again, when you're going to make a move, the way we said with the cyclist, mirror, signal. Once you move out, you have to get it done as well. Once you're out, if it's safe to do so, make sure you overtake. So at cross junctions, again, just when it's safe to move, just get through the junction. You don't want to be going across too slow. You have to remember the cars behind you want to get through the junction as well. So if you're too slow, it's just you could possibly get beat. You don't want that in your test. Progress at roundabouts. When you're looking ahead, you're looking to the right, as we said with the observation. If there's no cars coming, roundabouts are always a yield. If there's no cars coming, there's no need to stop. Keep the car flowing, always in second gear, never any higher gear. Progress turning right. So when you're in position and you look down the road, if there's no cars coming towards you or they're a safe distance away, look to the right and steer and drive down the road. You don't want to take too long driving across. Just think if you would walk across in front of the car, you should be okay to drive across. Now, progress turning left. We see a lot of people get marks for this as well. When you're turning left, it's very important. You come a lot. I see a lot of people that are still braking when they're turning left. So I don't mean at a T junction now. Just when you're driving and you're taking a left turn, you do your mirror signal position slow into second, off the clutch, and once you steer, you either gently accelerate around the corner, or if you're going fast enough, just let the car roll around. You don't want to be too slow turning left. Progress change in lane. So yeah, once you mirror signal and it's safe to do so, get it done. And now, very importantly, at traffic lights, especially if you're forced at the traffic lights, when that goes green and it's safe to do so, mirror, handbrake down and get the car going. Very important. If you're further back in the queue, keep up with the car in front. Not like right on top of them, but a safe distance, but you have to just keep up with the cars in front. Very important that. So next section here, vehicle controls. And it says there, make proper use of. So make proper use of the accelerator. Again, you don't want to be going too hard on your accelerator. We don't want to be revving the car too much. It just means more emissions coming from the back of the car. And we always want to use eco driving. Clutch. Now, this is a big one. So the main reasons for marks here is for coasting. Coasting is when we clutched around corners and holding the clutch in for long periods of time. The reason why people clutch is because when they're trying to drop it down a gear, they clutch in and they try to change the gear and then start braking. Try do it the other way. When you want to drop down a gear, always brake first. And only when you're going slow enough, then you're going to clutch in, use your gear, and then you can slowly come off the clutch. You will find that it's much smoother that way. Also, if you're coming to a red light, I see so many people just come, they see the red light and they just clutch in and they roll all the way up to the red light and just stop. Instead, what you could be doing is you're on, depending what gear you're in, if you want to drop it down the gear, that's fair enough. But the trick is we slow down first and we don't use the clutch for that. We use the brake. So you're always braking first. And then once you're going, if you want to just stop in the gear you're in, you're just on the brake and just before it chugs, you can just clutch in and stop. Or if you want to drop it down the gear, you're on the brake. When you're going slow enough, clutch in, say into second, off the clutch, and then clutch in and stop at the light. So make proper use of your gears next. This is very important. When we're driving in a 30 zone, it's very important you get up to third gear. Doesn't matter what car you're driving, whether it's a big 2 litre, 2.5 litre car, driving in second isn't good enough. You have to just get it into third. If your car is struggling in third, then it might be okay to bring it back to second. But you have to show the tester that you know I'm supposed to be in third. You want to avoid driving in first and second too long. The same then when you come onto a faster road, 50 and 60 now, we're getting up through the gears, always listening to the car. If we're revving too hard, it means you're not in the correct gear. Just shift up a gear. So foot brake, always try to be smooth on the foot brake. Like late application or any sharp braking, you could get a result there. Handbrake, so if you're stopped on a hill and you don't use your handbrake, that could be a reason for a fault. Or not, I always say use it at a red traffic light. Or if you're stopped long in traffic, you could use it. And another reason why people get a mark for it is if you're still rolling and you pull the handbrake up. So we always wait till we're stopped before we pull the handbrake up. So what have we got? Steering. So keep both hands on the wheel for the majority of the time. You don't want to be doing a lot of one-handed steering. And also when you're stopped at traffic lights, you don't want your hands on your lap. And it looks too relaxed and all. When you're stopped, keep your two hands on the wheel and just try to avoid a lot of one-handed steering. Technically, you are allowed to steer with one hand when you're in reverse, but if you don't need to do it, I wouldn't recommend it. Next, you have your secondary controls. So you will be asked these before you start driving. But if you're driving along and say you need to turn your wiper, it starts to rain lightly and you don't turn your wipers on, you could get a mark for that. Or if your back window starts to mist up and you don't turn on your back window demister. Always trying to use the controls correctly. Technical checks, this is when you do under the bonnet. So just again, always making sure you're rehearsed in that. And coupling and uncoupling is only for when we attach a trailer. So next section here, speed. So first one is road conditions. Actually, I should say there, it says adjust speed to suit on approach road conditions. So if you're on a 50 road and you're driving along, but then you're coming to say roadworks, for instance, or say there's cars parked on either side and it's just a little bit narrower, just ease off a little bit. Just if it gets a little bit narrower, you just have to, it's a reaction to hazards again. Just always matching your speed for the road conditions. Traffic conditions again, like if you're on a 50 road, but it's kind of slow moving traffic, just keeping a safe distance from the car in front, and you don't have to get up to 50 in that case. Roundabouts, turning left, turning right, just going the correct speed. It's kind of all turns are different width and junctions and roundabouts. Just trying to use the correct speed. Never fly up too fast or anything like that. Um, Speed limit again. Oh, so the last one there's the speed limit. Always trying to be at the speed limit if it's safe to do so. People say, try go 52, 53. Don't mind all that because that 53 easily turns into 56. Then you're getting a grade two. Just if the speed limit is 50 and it's safe to do so, hold it at 50. So next section here is traffic controls, and it just says so comply with traffic lights. So stopping at red lights, for instance, and if a light turns amber as we approach, we should stop unless it's unsafe to do so. Amber doesn't mean speed up. You're generally supposed to stop at an amber if it's safe to do so. All right. Next one there, traffic signs. So are we stopping at traffic signs and obey the signs as we approach them? Also, traffic signs like go and stop at roadworks also need to be obeyed. Road markings, so stop lines. There's not always a stop sign. If you see a solid white line on the ground as you come out at a junction, that's generally a stop line. And always stop before them. Try never stop over them. What have you got next? So pedestrian crossings, and Garda school wardens, they would be very similar. So we never stop across these. I like to treat these like a yellow box junction and only drive into them when you know you can clear the other side. Even at a set of pedestrian traffic lights, if it goes amber and you know people are going to start crossing the road, if you can't clear that pedestrian crossing comfortably because there's a car stopped in front of you, just stay behind the line. That's the best thing to do there. And then bus lanes, staying out of the bus lane, obviously during the time shown. Cycle lanes is next. So there's two types of cycle lanes: continuous white line ones and broken white lines. It is okay to drive into the broken white line cycle lanes, provided it is safe to do so, but we never cross a continuous white line except for emergencies or access. Next section here, yield right of way. So yield right of way as required when moving off. So again, do you see how many times moving off has came up? That's why if you follow the steps in the Gosho video, you should have no problem. Just remember, if there is a car coming up behind you, don't signal. And if you have signaled and then you see them, cancel your signal. And obviously don't pull out in front of them. Overtaking, if you do need to overtake something and there's cars coming towards you, don't do it. Just stay back. We only overtake when it's safe to do so. Changing lanes now. So if you go to change lane and your mirror signal to the right and there's a car flying up beside you, just stay back. There's no need to pull in front of anybody. What we got now? So roundabouts. So if you look to the right and you see a car coming from the right, and if you pull out in front of them, that could be technically a grade three because if when you look to the right, when you see someone, remember we have to stop or give way. Yielding right of way, turning right. Um, so again, if you're looking ahead and then there's a car coming towards you and you don't see the car and you turn right in front of them, forget about it. If they're too close and you make them slow down, grade three. Um, so then turning left as well. So say for instance we're turning left at a T junction. You look right and left, and if you pull out in front of a car that's coming up the road from the right hand side, if that's close enough and you make them slow down, that would also be a grade three. So when you look left and right, make sure it's clear before you go. Now, next section here, we're going to do the two maneuvers. So first one here is reverse, and we see the fourth section is competency. So that just basically means, can you keep it reasonably close to the path in a competent manner without hitting or mounting the curb or taking it too wide or taking too long to do it? Also, just trying to do it nice and smooth without excessive revving of the car and stopping every few seconds. So you're just trying to keep it nice and smooth and reasonably close to the path. Now, your observation. So when you have good position, you're nice and straight in line with the curb. That's when you can take your eye off the left mirror and say, have a look in your out the back window over your left shoulder. If you're still happy with your position when you look in the left mirror, that's when you can kind of look ahead into the right mirror. Once we get to where the curb bends, that's when you're going to start doing your steering. And it's very important here. I always tell my students, there's no point being miles away from the path and then taking a big, huge look out your back window or into the blind spot. Make sure you get your position in first. And when your position is in and you're happy with it, are you then going to start checking your blind spot as you come around the bend? Very important that although you do need to do your observation, there's no point doing it when you're a million miles away from the path. Make sure you're looking in your left mirror until you're happy with that and you're in, then you can look around, checking your blind spot and your back mirror as you back window as you come around. Next section, yielding right of way. So basically, if we look behind us and there's a car coming, stop. Now, if they're miles away, keep it going, but be aware when they get a little bit closer to you, then stop. Or if there's a car coming, say, towards you and they're driving towards you in the same direction as you're reversing, there's no need to stop when they're a good bit up the road. Wait till they're nearly beside you and then stop. It's the same with pedestrians walking beside you. Obviously, we're not going to reverse along if there's a pedestrian beside you. Always just, they have right away when you're doing this. Next section here is the turnabout. So again, we can see competency. So basically, can you turn the car around in a competent manner without hitting or mounting the curb or going at a reasonable speed and not too slow or fast, obviously. So you're just making sure it's nice and smooth. And people always say, do I have to do it in three? Not necessarily. You can do it in three, five, or seven, but you should have no issues doing it in three unless the tester brings it to a really narrow spot, which is possible as well. All right, so just making sure it's nice and smooth. Next is observation. So basically, when you do it, so you start off doing gosh, so once you're driving, you're looking right and left, up and down the road. Try avoid looking dead ahead out your windscreen. Always left and right. Once you go into reverse, looking left and right and over your left shoulder throughout the back window. Very important. And then right away, if a car's coming towards you, you have to see them, look at them, and stop. When they stop, you keep going. And last but not least, the last section here is parking. So basically, you see competency, observation, and legally. So competency, can you get it reasonably close to the path, nice and straight? Observation, always mirror, signal, move in and stop. And legally, making sure you're not blocking anybody's gate, parking on double yellow lines or in a clear way or whatever you're not supposed to park. The tester generally they don't ask you to park on double yellows, but there is a possibility of parking in front of an open gate and even a closed gate. Just making sure you park not blocking anybody's property. All right, so that's it. I know that was a really lot. I had to break that down into 3 videos because it was so long. But look, I hope you got some tips from this and and you kind of know what the tester will be looking for. So thanks very much. And if you like what you're saying there, subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date with all the new stuff. All right. Thank you and best of luck in your test.